Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to episode 59 of Open Crypto, where we keep you informed on a bi-daily basis. If you are interested in keeping fully up to date on all things crypto, then subscribe. We put out a new video every 12 hours, and the story I've got for you this evening is all surrounding FTX and SBF yet again. This has been a fascinating story to cover. And this article's from the BBC News, and it's in their tech section, and it's titled "FTX Crypto Boss SBF Denied Bail in Bahamas." So, as you followed in my one of my recent videos, that he's been arrested for fraud is now it's now been let out or known now that he's been charged by the Southern District of New York, if I remember right, and he's been charged with 8 different counts, all relating to actual fraud, and a couple of counts related to campaign fraud, wire fraud, mail fraud, all kinds of fraudulent goings on he's been up to. But we knew that. I mean, it's been I've been calling this has been a fraud since it all came out. In my opinion, it was so obvious. Normally I'm an advocate for innocent until proven guilty and going to trial and get it done, but the thing is, he's openly admitted what he's done and what he's said, and how he's lied, and how I've seen him lie on Twitter. It's just so obvious. So let's get into it. So Sam Bankman-Fried, the founder of the failed cryptocurrency exchange FTX, has been denied bail by a judge in the Bahamas. US authorities charged Mr. Bankman-Fried with one of the biggest financial frauds in US history on Tuesday. That's how big this is. This is not, people often think that crypto is small, and it is small, but the dollar value that this guy swindled out of users and out of creditors is just huge. There's been nothing like it. The closest thing to this would have been the Enron scandal circa 2004, 2005. So, and this is much bigger. The ex-FTX boss built a house of cards on a foundation of deception, Securities and Exchange Commission SEC Chair Gary Gensler said. SBF has indicated that he will fight extradition to the US. I personally think he's got no chance. Bahamas Chief Magistrate Joy Ann Ferguson Pratt denied the petition for his release on bail, citing a great risk of flight, and ordered that he be kept on remand at a correctional facility until the 8th of February. He was arrested in the Bahamas on Monday. Last month, FTX filed for bankruptcy in the US, leaving many users unable to withdraw their funds. According to a court filing, FTX owed its 50 largest creditors almost $3.1 billion. Among the most serious allegations against Mr. Bankman-Fried is that he used billions of dollars of customer funds to prop up his investment trading company Alameda. So just quickly, what he was doing is he was taking users' money. So if I wanted to trade on FTX, I would deposit some money, I would make my trades, I would think that my money was there, I would make my trades and do whatever I needed to do, and a lot of people left the money on there just ready to do another trade, maybe tomorrow or next week. And what he was doing, although my account was showing that the Bitcoin or the crypto was in my account, it wasn't there really. He'd actually used all that money to loan it to his sister company called Alameda, and they were putting on longs. They were like super long. I believe they had a $4 billion long on in total on the crypto market. So it would have been on Bitcoin, ETH, all your big ones, and a lot on Solana because he was heavily involved in the startup of Solana, and obviously FTT as well. This FTT token, because that's the one that powered the exchange. It is unclear how much people who have funds in the exchange will get back at the end of bankruptcy proceedings, though many experts have warned it may be a small fraction of what they deposited. I do think, though, he had Binance. There was Binance US, there was and Binance International, and I think that the Binance US, they've actually managed to recover this John Ray III, the new CEO that's responsible for carrying out the bankruptcy. I saw him testify yesterday before Congress, and he said that he's managed to claw back $1 billion, which is, it's obviously a huge amount of money, but there's $8 billion missing. But I think that would be enough to make at least the US depositors whole again. And with him being prosecuted in the US, and with them being able to, all being sort of a US sort of a thing, I think they might be able to look at getting the money back for the US residents that were users of FTX and the creditors, and maybe so we'll have to see if that plays out. But it does look quite promising for them. FTX International, however, forget it. In my opinion, just forget that. I just don't think you're going to get any money. So if you're not a US resident and you were using FTX International and not FTX US, I wouldn't get your hopes up. Mr. Bankman-Fried faces 8 criminal charges in the US, including wire fraud, money laundering, and conspiracy to defraud. He also faces civil charges, including misleading investors who put more than $1 billion into the company. These are really serious charges, and if he gets found guilty, which I'm sure he will, either through a trial or if he decides not to go to trial and to just plead guilty to these charges, he's looking at probably the rest of his life in prison. There are some legal lawyers. There are some lawyers that I've seen on TV, and I know it's speculation, but some of them have been saying that he'd get up to 150, 200 years for this, just because of the sheer size and scale of it, and with it being the biggest scandal, the biggest fraud in US history. I think they're going to make a real example of him and throw the book in, which I did not think they would do. If you'd have asked me this a week ago, I was wondering whether he would even get arrested, or whether he was going to get away with this because of his donations to the Dems. He also faces civil charges, including misleading investors who put more than $1 billion into the company. I do not think he's going to care at all about the civil charges. He's got far bigger problems to worry about. And I know that in the US, the process is always the criminal first. These civil charges, although they've filed them, they will not go forward until the criminal charges until the criminal trials finished. Officials have also accused him of violating campaign finance laws. At a news conference on Tuesday, Damian Williams, the US Attorney for the Southern District of New York, described the fraud Mr. Bankman-Fried is accused of as among the largest in US history. Besides accusing Mr. Bankman-Fried of defrauding lenders, investors, and customers, Mr. Williams alleged he had used tens of millions in ill-gotten gains for illegal campaign contributions to Democrats and Republicans alike. And I watched they did a press statement yesterday, the Southern District of New York, which is basically the prosecutor in this, that are criminally prosecuting him. And they have been gathering evidence on this for over the month since it all came out on the 2nd to 6th of November. So like the last month and a bit, they've been gathering evidence, and they've been all working together. It's been a multi-agency sort of thing that they've all done. So you've got the FBI, you've got the Department of Justice, the Securities and Exchange Commission, the CFTC were also involved. There's all kinds of I think there's the Office for Serious Fraud that are involved. There's loads that he's in real trouble here. So it's something that they've planned, and they've actually he was questioned, was the lead prosecutor yesterday, and said about the sort of dodgy timing of the arrest, because SBF was supposed to testify in front of Congress on the 13th, and I believe if memory serves me, he was arrested on the 12th. So it was before he was supposed to testify anyway, just a matter of hours before. And they actually said that they filed all the extradition papers and the arrest papers last week. So the fact that it actually just landed before he was supposed to testify was just kind of bad luck or good luck, depending on which way you look at it, with the defendant or in this case the prosecutor. So actually that, and I do believe that. I think it's now that I know that they actually filed last week, they could have done it last week if the papers had gone through quickly. Mr. Bankman-Fried also denied allegations he must have been aware that FTX's affiliated trading company Alameda Research was using FTX customer funds. Now I know he keeps saying that he has no idea, he did not know. He's pleaded sort of He's not pleaded ignorant as such, but he's pleaded stupid, that he's made mistakes, and that he's almost childlike, trying to sort of get the pity vote, and trying to make you feel sorry for him. But there's just no way. There's just no way that he would not know this as the CEO. That millions and billions were moving in and out. It's just not possible. Was using FTX customer funds. He was once viewed as a young version of legendary US investor Warren Buffett. As recently as late October, he had a net worth estimated at more than $15 billion. Meanwhile, the firm's new chief executive, John Ray, told a US congressional committee that FTX's collapse appeared to be the result of it being controlled by a small group of grossly inexperienced, non-sophisticated individuals. He said he had seen an utter lack of record keeping, no internal controls whatsoever. The FTX exchange allowed customers to trade normal money for cryptocurrencies such as Bitcoin. Cryptocurrencies are not currencies in the traditional sense, but are stored online and act more like investment vehicles or securities, often with a high degree of volatility. Their anonymity means they have been favoured for criminal activities such as drug dealing and ransomware attacks, but their supporters say there is huge potential for innovation and independence from governments. And just a quick one, this is actually factually incorrect. They are not anonymous. Cryptocurrencies are not anonymous. They're in fact pseudonymous. You can trace amounts, you can trace from one address to another address, you can see how much is in an account, but the thing that you don't know is who that belongs to. And so it's pseudonymous, not anonymous. I think they get a bit carried away with thinking that it's some sort of anonymous cryptocurrency. It makes it sound a bit dangerous, and that's just not the case. So another interesting article. I will keep you updated as things go along. I know he came out of the after he was denied bail yesterday in a Bahamian court. He hugged his mum and dad, and then he was taken away in handcuffs. So that's what I've got for you this evening. Remember, everybody, to hit the subscribe button, join our team. We'll keep you updated on all things crypto every 12 hours. Smash the like button if you feel you got value from this video, and I shall see you all in 12 hours.